It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And we are back here at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And one of the big speakers tonight is going to be Peter Navarro, who has just left prison a few hours ago. Incredible what happened to him, and he will be one of the big speakers, of course, former Trump advisor, very close to President Trump. Also has a new book out called The New MAGA Deal, and it's called, you can go to newmagadeal.com. Peter Navarro, first of all, congratulations for getting out of prison literally a few hours ago. What does it feel like to be here at the convention?
You can't make that up in terms of the drama of it. But I don't think it was an accident. Them letting me out like later in the week. They didn't think I could make it here, but I got here, and Johnny Katz is my main man. I would see some of your stuff through the New York Post that would circulate through the prison.
We've been praying for you, I'm telling you.
I know, I do appreciate it, but I did get out of prison in Miami this morning. I'm here in Milwaukee with a very simple message, the speech tonight. If we don't control our government, their government will control us. If we don't control all three branches of our government, legislative, executive, judicial, their government, will put some of us, like me and Steve Bannon, in prison, and they will control the rest of us. I'm going to flesh that out. I mean, if you think about how I got in prison, it involved all three branches of our government controlled by Democrats weaponizing our, as the president loves to say, injustice system. Of course, the other thing I'm doing, the new MAGAdeal.com, that came out on Monday. They wouldn't let me out of prison for that.
You were in prison on your birthday, Peter. I can't believe that.
Yeah, 75th birthday in prison. It was a kind of a surreal experience. But the new MAGA deal, my mission between now and November is to use the new MAGA deal basically as a offensive, defensive weapon against the Bidenites who are going to try to portray the Trump folks, the Make America Great Again movement, is somehow far out there, when in fact, as I show in the new MAGA deal, it's the most centrist movement there is. It's fair trade, manufacturing here in America rather than out in communist China. It's securing our borders, and it's an end to endless wars. And the one thing I want to say here right now, because I couldn't be more pleased with J.D. Vance being the vice president nominee, because he's going to be the anti-Kamala. Kamala was given one job in 4 years. One job. You remember what that was?
Supposedly border.
Supposedly border. She went down there, took one sniff of that smell coming across the Rio Grande, turned tail and said, not my job. And then 8 million people came in to murder and rape people. You got drug cartels, human traffickers. You got a flood of illiterate illegal aliens flooding our labor markets, and Islamic terrorists and communist Chinese spies. That's on Kamala. J.D. Vance is the heartland, and he's going to be the key to Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and all of the states around this country that manufacture, because he was there, boots on the ground, suffering. His family, his friends, his colleagues.
He understands.
He understands. I was at 30,000 feet studying this back in 2001, 2, and 3, wondering what happened. He was on the ground. And so I never met him, but we have a common bond in that. We're like two sides of the same coin, but he's the lived experience, and I'm kind of the analyst up here.
Well,
that's a problem.
You're a lot bigger than an analyst. I got to say, everybody, we are talking here on Katz and Cosby with Peter Navarro, just got out of prison. Peter, you talked about the lawfare that we've all seen. Boy, do you epitomize it. I want to remind everybody because, of course, you were there for defying the subpoena for the January 6th committee.
Yes.
Didn't want to turn over the documents. So many questions about obviously about the validity of that whole investigation. It's been crazy. The fact you had to serve 4 months in prison. what's your message also, as we're seeing now all these cases falling apart against President Trump?
Yeah.
But boy, you really epitomized the way you were handled was shocking.
I actually think my case is the quintessential archetype of weaponization of the injustice system, because for more than 50 years, the Department of Justice says that what I did was not illegal, it was my duty. George Washington's doctrine of executive privilege and the constitutional separation of powers says, and the Department of Justice says, that if Congress comes to call to a senior presidential advisor, my duty was to tell him to go pound sand. And that's what I did. My duty. And, I mean, I've seen this whole justice system now. It doesn't work. I mean, there's no reason I should have been sent to prison before my appeal of this case.
And they rushed after you. They rushed after you, guns blazing at the airport, too.
Well, yeah, that's the Federal Bureau of Intimidation. I mean, one of the lines in the speech has to do, in Trump's America, you didn't have to worry about the Federal Bureau of Intimidation looking over your shoulder after you went to a school board meeting and spoke up or kneeled down in church without a Fauci mask. This is, I mean, it's the rot is deep. I think Americans understand now that we can't have a system of injustice like that.
Well,
it's an election issue.
I'll tell you, if people have tears in their eyes seeing you here, it's really great to see you. Thank goodness you're okay, Peter.
I'm doing
great.
great.
I can't wait to hear you speak tonight. You are going to get a rousing applause
We don't
here.
bend, we don't break in Trumpland.
Well, bravo to you.
Okay.
I can't wait to see your speech tonight. We're going to be cheering you on. Thank you so much.
Give my best to Johnny Katz, will you?
You know I will. He's
All right.
listening.
All right,
Thanks.
brother.